Hey friends, and welcome back to a new video. So for a long time I toyed around with the idea of starting an Etsy shop. I love being creative, so selling things on Etsy just seemed like a natural fit for me. I always thought that would be something that I would do eventually somewhere down the line, but I noticed and realized that I kept on pushing this thing that I wanted to do further and further back. And that's what we tend to do with a lot of our dreams or things we're interested in. We tend to procrastinate on it and not prioritize it enough. So I knew I wanted to sell something on Etsy somewhere down the line. I just didn't really know what I would want to sell yet. I have a lot of different interests in creative areas, but during the last year especially, I had really rekindled my love for painting, especially when we lived in Florence for about 3 months and I saw all this beautiful Renaissance art. I really felt the calling to pick up a paintbrush again. I used to be really intimidated by painting, especially big pieces. There'd be so much room and so much empty canvas that I had to fill, and that really scared me and intimidated me. So what I did is I just downsized the canvas that I would paint on. So I started painting on these small postcard-sized cards, and that was something that I really enjoyed. I felt like this intimidating feeling of this big project went away and I could focus more on creating small pieces. So in a way, I kind of found what I loved within the painting world, and also at the same time kind of niche down on something that I really enjoy and like. So now that I had found the thing that I really love to create, I had found kind of the thing that I wanted to sell on Etsy. So the first step was actually to create all the artwork that I wanted to create before focusing in on the platform and what it means to sell on there. So I took the pressure off selling an Etsy completely out of my mind and just focused on creating, and I created a lot of very different things. I wanted to kind of test out the waters, what I liked, what I enjoyed, and I focused on what I wanted to paint. So that's why there's a lot of different things, from very abstract to realistic paintings, but then also dreamy paintings to very more edgy modern things. So when I created about 50 or so small postcard-sized paintings, I was sort of ready. I had enough, I had a small inventory to start. Something I knew pretty early on is that I wanted to provide the original art. I know a lot of Etsy art that you can buy, or a lot that is popular, is art prints, and I totally understand that you can make a lot of different copies of the artwork, but I'm someone that really values original art. There's just something beautiful and romantic about this being the original piece and this being the only one that is out there in the world. It is unique. There's so much more intentionality in original art, and I knew that it was something that I wanted to stick to and to make it into something that would set me apart from most of the others. So before I actually dove into creating the account, I wanted to make sure that I get to know what Etsy is all about. So I actually took the time to research all about Etsy, what it means to sell on Etsy. I took to YouTube. I find that there are so many amazing resources out there, and looked at what experienced sellers had to say, their tips, their tricks, what worked for them, what didn't work for them. And the main tips and messages that I had compiled were: number one, to list more items in your shop. So what I kind of found, or what people had said, is that more items are better, at least for the Etsy algorithm. And also uploading new items regularly is also something that is really helpful and important for the Etsy algorithm, but also for your customers. If you have new things coming regularly, then they have new things to look at that they might be interested in. Then the next thing that I had researched is that the listing itself is super important. So it's important that your listing has quality, and you achieve this by using key words in your listing. So in the title, in the description, think about what would people type in to find something that is similar to what you're selling. Now this was pretty difficult since I'm pretty new to Etsy even as a consumer. So this one there was a learning curve too, but it is something that you can tweak along the way. It doesn't have to be perfect from the get-go. You can always edit your listing afterwards. Then reviews are super important. This one goes for online selling in general. Now this is a little difficult starting out. Maybe you would lower your prices a little bit to get those initial reviews, and then if you already have reviews and new buyers, you need to be creative to encourage them to leave a review for your shop. And there are different ways out there. One that I heard someone suggest is to do kind of like a raffle. So everyone who left a review would automatically enter into a raffle and then win something down the line. Then of course, returning customers are really important. So it's important to really take care of your customers. And then this goes to the quality listing, have quality photos to show your product. This also gives a certain trust to the consumer. If the qualities are good, then I guess you kind of assume that the seller is trustworthy and the shop is established and is just a shop you can trust. So as I said, quality photos are really important, so that was the next thing that I tackled. I had all my art ready and I made sure to take great photos in as much light as possible by doing a flat lay on the ground. Now I must say I really struggled with this aspect. I was struggling with the light. The weather has been very gloomy here where I live, so there wasn't much light to work with, and it was I feel like I tend to struggle with flat lays in general. I find it difficult to style and to make it look appealing. So I'm happy with the photos that I've achieved so far, but it's definitely something I can improve on. I have learned from business experiences in the past that done is better than perfect. So I'm happy with putting out not just anything, but putting out quality things in areas that are important. But then everything else I can always tweak and change when I learn more and can perfect with time. The photos I had then edited with an online website or software website I had found called Photor. This is not sponsored by them in any way, but I had found it to be very user-friendly and easy to use, and it was free to use. So I did very basic things like lighten up things since it was so dark when I took the photos, but try not to change the photos in a drastic way to where when the customer gets the product, they feel kind of cheated because it looks so different in person. Then nextly, when I had my photos, I had to start thinking about a shop name. This was pretty difficult. I didn't want to take too much time to the point where this would delay me even opening a shop, but at the same time, it was something that I did want to put some thought into. So I'm currently brainstorming ideas for the name of my Etsy shop. I want to make sure that the name is available on Etsy, but I also want to make sure that the Instagram for that name is available. But I also want the name to evoke a certain feeling that I want to also carry across in my art, if that makes sense. But also have the name be kind of representative of what art means to me, how it's a safe space of expression and a kind of like a safe space of where dreams come true in a sense, if that makes sense. So it's been difficult to find a name. Originally I wanted to go something that would evoke an image of nature and peacefulness and quietness and a sense of serene, like a zenness. So I wanted to add things that evoke that feeling for me. So things like meadows, flowers, sheep, a creek, something like that. But it's been a little difficult. But then also I would love to add the meaning or the sense of mindfulness and peacefulness. Yeah, so I have made a little list on my phone and I'm kind of jotting down names and words as they pop up in my head. Coming up with names is really difficult. I remember trying to come up with a name for Catchy Cravings. I'd also made a huge list in my notebook and kind of gone through what just resonates with me. Yeah, I remember wanting to have an alliteration, so both words starting with the same letter. And I remember going through what I wanted to mean, Catchy Cravings being that what I share is very catchy in a sense. I was thinking much more in terms of food, so that what I share in terms of food is so good and delicious, and that people would kind of catch the craving and want to crave that now as well, if that makes sense. Anyways. Then when I had my shop name, my photos, it was time to create the Etsy account. Now this was pretty simple and easy to do, but what I hadn't anticipated was that you're supposed to already upload your items and then take your shop live. So this is where I spent a lot of time creating the listings in general. It took so much more time than I anticipated. It was very tedious with thinking of a title, making sure it has keywords, doing the description. That was all very time consuming. But I tackled this sort of in increments, so I uploaded a few items each day and I didn't rush myself too much. And also the further along I got with uploading my items, the easier it was, since you can duplicate items but then just change the specifics to the item. Now that I've created the account and was trying to add more items and to tweak things, I had a lot of mixed feelings. Since this is something that is really important to me and that I would love to see succeed, but putting yourself out there like that is quite vulnerable and you have this certain fear of failing. So even though starting this Etsy shop has been somewhat of a dream of mine, I've still been pretty nervous, and I've always kind of thought, okay, I'll do that someday, but now that it's the day of doing is coming closer and closer, I felt more and more anxious about starting this, just because I'm scared that what if I fail? What if this doesn't work out? And yeah, so I just want to share that I've been having more of those feelings as well, and that's fine too. And I've had to remind myself that failing is just part of it, and even if I in a sense fail, I can always, you know, change and pivot to make it work. I mean, my dream is not necessarily selling on Etsy, but selling my art, and even if it doesn't work out on Etsy, I can still do it some other way. Yeah, but I've kind of been experiencing this slight fear of what if it doesn't work out, or what if what I'm selling isn't good enough, or yeah, just things like that. But I think it's normal, or it's part of it, this kind of kind of like a stage fright just before you go on stage, just before your launch. But I'm also excited for this process and for what is to come. I have failed projects before that was very, very heartbreaking, so it is something uncomfortable that I don't necessarily want to go through again. But then I also wanted to remind myself of the other option, which is not to have tried at all, since whether we fail or succeed is not 100% in our control. The only thing we can influence is whether we actually take the leap of faith and actually take action on our dreams or what we want to do. And if I imagine myself not having done this, it would always be a question of a what if, and that can often lead to regret, which is very scary. So I would rather have tried it and known that it didn't work out than not have tried it at all. So for now, I'm very proud of myself that I took this step to create this Etsy shop that I've always wanted to do for so long. and that I made myself vulnerable and put myself out there. And I hope this can maybe encourage you to also take that next step on something that you've always wanted to do but was scared of it not working out. Failing and embracing the unknown is part of the human experience, and there is a certain beauty in that. So I hope you enjoy this video. If you are curious and want to check out my Etsy shop, I will leave the link down below. I've also decided to do 20% off of everything as kind of like a launch party. With the code launch party, you can get 20% off at checkout. The 20% will only be valid until March 10th, so be sure to check it out if you're interested in supporting me in that way. I would love to hear your thoughts on my Etsy shop, what you think, but also what is something that you've always loved to do but were too scared to do or to take the next steps on. Hope you enjoyed this video and give it a like if you did, and subscribe for more videos on minimalism, vegan recipes, financial videos, a lot of fun things. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!